welcome to the video. So this one today is going to be almost a remake of the very first video I've ever put out on this channel. There is going to be some slight differences at the start. It's going to be almost kind of like a lecture type where I'm going to talk about just some certain aspects as to why we pay attention to enemy symbolism, and then we're going to get into a couple decodes and yeah, this is in my opinion, pretty well the final leg of our journey. And yeah, we're just going to kind of like solidify exactly where we are and how much longer we have to go. So before we begin, I'll just read a quick and simple gospel. John chapter 3, verse 16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. And that's all you have to do. All you have to do is believe in him. It doesn't matter how good of a person you've been in your life, or how often you've gone to church, or how often you even pray. It's the only thing that matters is believing in his sacrifice on the cross and what he did for us. It has nothing to do with anything that we've done. It's what separates us from the 10,000 other religions in the world that all rely on their own good deeds. For us, it's only our faith that he asks for. It's a free gift, and all we have to do is accept it. So the first thing that we're going to look at here is just a few notes. And this may proceed like a kind of like university lecture, but I'll try and keep this pretty short. So, in essence, this section we're going to cover is why, in fact, we pay attention to enemy symbolism, and I'm gonna kind of break down like what I exactly think the function of it is. So, the title of it here is "I walk in the light, but I watch those in the dark." So, I think as a believer, we're called on to do more than just read our Bible and look at some calendars that we don't even particularly know if they're right or not. I think it's on us to observe the world around us, and even if that's not just the light aspects of it, perhaps even observing the dark aspects of the world around us in order to understand where we are through prophecy and just observing the world. So that's in essence what this section is going to be about. And I think I just said the first point there. So as believers, we're called not just to observe our Bibles, but the world around us. This includes predictive programming, fake space, aliens, and then we have to ask ourselves why. So, on a kind of personal note, I was aware of the evil in this world well before I found Christ. I think I was in my very early 20s when I started to notice that there was a sort of agenda in the world, and there was this presence that was kind of guiding you away from something. Whether this is kind of like space or aliens being shown through your movies and just kind of pop culture, I kept thinking like, what is the ultimate utility of this? Why is this being shown to you? And of course, the first thing that comes to mind is it's kind of like predictive programming to eventually subjugate you. But I kind of knew that there was more than that. So in a way, for me, the how do I say this? The counterfeit authenticated the genuine. So if there was this, if the devil was in the world and he existed, then obviously the force that he was fighting against existed as well. So in a way, that was kind of my first step to coming to Christ. So it was very, very important for me to see the evil in the world because that's what brought me to the light. Oh, I mean, the tea's a little too hot right now. So the next point we're going to look at here is what exactly is the function of those who are considered the enemy, those who work for the devil, whether this be fallen angels or humans that are just actors or anyone in that kind of circle. So I saw a YouTube comment one time that explained it very succinctly. It was they are the prisoners that run the prison. So what do they believe that they're getting out of this? Or are they all simply demons? So that's a question I've been asking myself, is if these are just people, like what exactly, so according to the Bible, obviously the devil is called the father of lies. So what exactly are these people getting out of this? They obviously believe that they're getting something, and that's more than what they think God can offer them. So that's a very interesting thing to ask ourselves, and I think a group that this is like a group that we need to be praying for even more than some, because these people are also lost, if not more lost than most others, because they seem to be aware of the existence of God, although they seem to still be going against it. So I think they definitely need our prayers, and I don't know if any of them watch this channel, but if they do, we're thinking about you. But yeah, so then the next part is this is actually going to be very pertaining to symbolism. So within their circles, they call this revelation of the method, where in their minds, they're not impinging on our free will if they reveal the plan to us. And if you've watched my videos before, I think this is, in essence, I'll just read what I have here. What they think is revelation of the method is, in fact, simply the conditions God has for Satan. So I believe that the reason for studying symbolism is that it is there for us to observe and be warned through it. So I think I compare it to the story of Job, in which although Job was being tested, he wasn't aware of the conditions. The conditions by God were that uh, uh, the enemy could like mess with everything in his life, but himself. So I think in a way we are like Job in that we have conditions set upon us, and how the enemy can affect us, although we ourselves are not aware of those conditions. And I think one of those conditions is that their plan has to be revealed to us, even subtly, but it's in almost everything. So within their circle, they call it revelation of the method. So I believe this is what the enemy, like the humans working for the enemy, this is what they believe it is. They believe it's some sort of way of making fun of us. But I think in actuality, these are the conditions which are set for Satan. Although they might not know that those are his conditions. So I just wanted to clear that up. That's why we pay attention to symbolism, because I see on Robert Pence' channel, Brother Dana's, even others, there be people like asking, why do you pay attention to the enemy? And it actually is very important because I do watch channels who essentially just use the Bible and then some obscure calendars, and I don't think they have a very great understanding of where we are, as opposed to those who watch prophecy and then study symbolism. In my opinion, they are always much closer to where events are happening, or prophecy is taking place. So that's just my opinion on that. I hope that didn't offend anyone, but yeah, this is what I've felt I've been called to do. As I mentioned in a comment on my last video, I became a Christian in 2004, so last year. I was a Roman Catholic most of my life, but as that's I now refer to that as paganism, as a kind of joke to people. But yeah, so I didn't read the whole New Testament until last year, so I don't have that time to become like a kind of like have like a PhD in the Bible. I have to work with the knowledge I have and the time that I have, and I believe time is very short, as I think we're in essentially the very last leg, as I'll show you in this video. So yeah, this is why I'm working with what I have. Is this is time is short, and this is what I've been given, and this is the task I've been given. So the next thing I'm going to talk about here is how we are in our last leg of the journey. So if you haven't watched my last video, I highly recommend going and watching that, as it kind of functions in the same way, where we're just going over some sort of principles as to how we can tell where we are. And I think the primary one is that if I highly recommend subscribing to Robert Pence channel, because he has the symbolism pretty well nailed down, and everything he and I have been looking at is what I'm going to refer to as the primary symbolism. This is your, I'll just put a note in here. This is your Pi Blue Blood Moon. The dates of March 14th to 17th. We got St. Patrick's Day in there. Sorry, and what else do we have? Oh yeah, the equinox. So in terms of the bulk, I guess I don't know how to spell that. There we go. In terms of the bulk of the symbolism, this is the bulk of their symbolism. Almost everything points to this time period. And as I stated in my previous video, I believe the reason for this is that this is a highly recognizable point in time. So as believers who are approaching the rapture and tribulation, as well as tribulation saints who are retrospectively looking at this symbolism, this is going to be a very, very distinct point in time. Like a blood moon on 314, also blue in the old Roman calendar. You have St. Patrick's Day there, and then the equinox. Like this is, once you understand the symbolism, it would be very difficult to mistake where you are in time. It could really only be 314 to 317, 2025. There's really no other point in time that you could be looking at in terms of the symbolism. So I think that is the importance of why this is considered the primary symbolism. But now we're going to be looking at the kind of secondary symbolism, which, as I mentioned in the first video, is we have a couple numbers for 123. I don't think you'll see in this video, but I think throughout this week I'm just going to kind of go back and remake the original videos I made on this channel, just adding a bit more detail. And I know most people don't go back and watch old videos, so I'm sure it would benefit some just to have them kind of re-released per se. So we have 23, and then our third quarter moon. And in my opinion, the third quarter moon is more prevalent in their symbolism than even anything that's here. However, this is not a distinct marker of time because every moon has a third quarter moon. So even though they give us the third quarter moon, there's really no way of knowing exactly which one we're looking at. However, I believe the third quarter moon we're looking at is quite obviously the one of the Pi blood moon here on 314, which if you watch the end of the end of Leave the World Behind, they show this in the Friends episode where they have coffee, which always represents the moon, which is either blue on a red background or red on a blue background, one or the other. And the episode is called The Last One. So this is our last moon. That's our last full moon. So then we have to assume that the third quarter moon, which is the most prevalent symbolism they show us, is the moon phase that we're looking at for this moon. And from someone that studies symbolism, we've pretty well after we've reached this point, which I fully believe this is our departure. At that point, we'll have pretty well expended our symbolism. The only symbolism that remains after that is, I believe, contained inside iPet Goat 2, because I believe their symbolism within that goes deeply into the tribulation, even as you'll see in, what did I title that video? The Long Tribulation. I do have a kind of decode that goes well past the departure of the church. So yeah, I think pretty much all the mainline symbolism is covered here, and then whatever's left is just in iPad Go 2. That's just my opinion. Okay, so we'll get to the first video we're watching here. It's a song called Marilyn Monroe by Pharrell. So I'll just pull that up now. I think for these we'll pretty well I'll try and skim through it. I don't have any time markers or any notes for this really, so this is going to be a bit more rough, but we'll just watch it and I'll just move to certain points which I think are important. Okay, so we have the very first scene here. We have the full moon here, which we're going to assume, or well, we kind of know at this point. This is our blue blood Pi moon, blue on the old Roman calendar. Everything you'll notice is purple, as his hat's purple. His hat is actually a very important marker throughout the rest of the video as it changes color and such. So we have everything's purple here. That is our blue combined with red equals purple. You'll see this symbolism very often. So that's what's you'll see in this video here. And this girl in white, this is the representing the bride of Christ, the believers. And he kind of goes up to her, and she disappears. So, sorry, you would think from that scene that you would think the bride of Christ is disappearing on the full moon, but spoiler alert, we'll fast forward to the next scene that is a similar scene later in the video. So, funny enough, we have a timestamp here of 3, 2. Interesting timestamp because that's around like that. You would assume that's like March 26th, 27th. However, that's the third quarter moon they're showing you here. So at the start, when they showed the girl disappearing, you would think that that's the rapture on the full moon. But in fact, if you go back here, it's actually the third quarter moon when the bride of Christ disappears. So that's pretty interesting. So we'll go back here. And so this video is just him hanging out with attractive girls. That's pretty much the entire video, although there is symbolism within it as well. So this is kind of like my first videos where I don't really have timestamps going into this. I'm just kind of like fast forwarding through it. Okay, this is the next important scene here. So you have a tri-colored room here. You have white here, blue, and then red. So this is our blood moon, which is a blue moon combined with the snow moon here. So I'll just go to, let's pull up Safari here. We'll go to snow moon. So snow moon is the full moon that occurs in February. So when we look at this video, we have our snow moon, our blood moon, and then it is a blue moon. So this would be the blue moon technically on the old Roman calendar. A blue moon is the second full moon within one calendar month. So right there you have all the aspects of this current moon and then the previous moon. So that's exactly what they're showing you there. And then his hat changes colors throughout the whole thing, so that's also symbolizing the moon. So right there, that's the blood moon that they're showing you. So I'll fast forward through here. I hope no one has kind of like epilepsy or anything like that, because there's a lot of flashing going on here, fast forwarding. But yeah, so we go to the scene here. And this is probably the most important in the entire video. So if you look at his hat here, he's got a brown hat and he's been shot with an arrow. And you'll see there's one hole in the hat, and then there's like a hole on the other side. So you're thinking, oh, what could this possibly represent? So we're going to go back to Google here, and we're going to go type in warm moon. And let's just get the actual thing here. So the warm moon will arrive on March 14th, 2025. So warm moon is the moon name for the full moon in March. So there's kind of like an interesting story behind that, because apparently that, according to old native traditions, that's when the worms would come out in spring. So that's kind of a fun fact. So then this girl comes out here with a bow, and that kind of like drives the point home of archer arrow. So, and here's where we're gonna get really interesting. So let's go to Stellarium here, and I already have this pulled up. So we are on March 22nd, 2025, and we'll go to Moon Giant here. Good thing my internet's working well today. So there is our third quarter moon, lit on the left side in March, and that's on the 22nd. So we go to Stellarium here, and we're on the 22nd, and sure enough, the moon is just about, I'll use the hour, it's just entering Sagittarius, which is the Archer constellation. So another very interesting thing we'll have is this is a video by Brother Dana, so I'll just play this now. So this is the Thank God It's Doomsday, the Rapture episode for The Simpsons. In the back here, you could have your blue moon symbolism, but the important part, or the interesting part for this scene, it's very unique, because you don't see this anywhere else, but she calls the kids in with a triangle. So you have to think, what is the symbolism involved here? So we'll go back to Stellarium. And if you watch, when the moon is entering Sagittarius, it's running pretty well perpendicular to the triangle, which is from the bow there. So I believe that is exactly what they're showing you. With the spoon representing the moon and running perpendicular to exactly the same side she was running the spoon on. So I believe that's exactly what they're showing you there. So pretty interesting. We'll go back to the video. And the back half of this video is actually pretty loaded with symbolism, I believe. So this scene's pretty important. You have he's wearing his black hat here, so this is symbolizing a black moon, which is the second new moon within a calendar month. And wouldn't you know it, the month of December. Let's go black moon, December 2025. A rare black moon where two new moons occur in a single calendar month will happen on December 30th, 2025. So there is our black moon right there. And I think what they're showing you here is, wait for it, 1, 2, and 3. That is our last full moon, our last 3 full moons before the departure of the church. So very interesting. And that is from the perspective of the black moon. So he's looking forward from the black moon and he sees 3 full moons. And then he comes over here, and then there's this girl with this interesting dress, and there's your blue moon symbolism, your blood moon symbolism, and the white could just be your snow moon in February. And then everything in this scene is it's black and white theme. So there's your equilux, which a credit to Raw Repent for finding it. This is your, let's just pull it up actually. I'll try and cite everything. Let's go Jerusalem, time of day. We'll go to this here. I should have, time zone. I should have had this ready. Time of day, night, sunset. There we go. I think this is what we're looking for. Yeah. So we go down to the 16th and 17th of this month, and right in there is where you have your equilux, which is equal parts day and equal parts night. So that's exactly what you're looking at right there. So that's a one-time event throughout the year. And that is in a lot of symbolism, but particularly there, they're showing you that kind of equilux. As well as it could be the third quarter moon or half moon they're showing you there, but it's a little less specific. And I don't think there's anything else in this video here. Yeah, that's it. He's also wearing white and with the black hat, and wouldn't you know it, black and white pants as well. There's your full equilux symbolism right there. Although not, I believe, marking the departure of the church, it's marking a very specific point in time. So this shot specifically, you can see that you have your equilux here and then your blue blood moon. They show you just the whole thing right there. So even though this isn't the departure of the church, this is very specific to the time frame that we're looking at. So very interesting. And we'll just move forward to our next one here. This one's actually very, very simple. There's not a whole lot going on in this one. But it's a very useful video in terms of symbolism. So this video is called Hurricane by Cannons. And so she's representing the blood moon there. And then you have a blue light, which I didn't even notice for the first several times I watched the video. You have the blue light shining down from the ceiling. So there's your two aspects of the moon. She's the blood moon, and then you have the blue aspect, which is very subtle. Like you don't even notice unless you're looking at the mic or you see it on her hair. So we'll fast forward a bit here. And then throughout the video, you have these people praying on the side, which are representing the believers, and they're kind of like taken away individually. Yeah, for all the men, this is going to be a very, very difficult symbolic video to study here. All we're looking at is like attractive girls. So, yeah, I'm terribly sorry, guys. But yeah, there's the believer being taken away, and then if you didn't know that she was the symbolizing the blood moon, her nose starts bleeding. So, just to drive home the point that what you're looking at is a blood moon. So. Now we get into the interesting stuff here. So, and this is probably the most interesting part of the video. So this guy, the paper is, the hurricane is in motion and the paper is blowing everywhere. And this guy gets smacked in the face here with this paper, and it stays here for like 5 seconds. What they're showing you here is the third quarter moon. So even though, as in regard to all the symbolism that Raw Repent and I have studied, even though what they're symbolizing could be assumed to be the equilux, I think it has a double meaning, and that they're showing us the equilux as well as the third quarter moon. Because to show the equilux, they could have showed us a first quarter moon, which in looking at all of the symbolism I've looked at, I haven't seen once. So it's always a third quarter moon. So you have to wonder, like, why exactly is it a third quarter moon? But I think the reason is that is the important part. That is pointing to the departure of the church. And if you've watched in my last video, I believe that's the departure of the church on the 22nd of March. And then the next day is your sudden destruction, which there's a very interesting part in the last video. So if you haven't watched that, I'd recommend going and taking a look. But yeah, what they're showing you there is your third quarter moon of the blood moon. So that's the departure of the church. And keep going, and yeah, everyone disappears, raptured. So very, very interesting. I think I'll throw one more decode in here. Let's get to karma here. So this one is filled to the brim with symbolism, and I might just go through this one pretty slow. It's a pretty good one. So right at the start here, you're being shown that the album's called Midnight, and then you have this. This is obviously symbolizing a blood moon, and then you have the butterflies, which are symbolizing rebirth. This is the believers, and as you see, it's going up. So that could be just very well your rapture reference right there. This scene I'm actually not entirely sure on. This is obviously the scales constellation they're showing you here. And then you have the sun above it. So I don't think there's particularly much importance in that. I'll just fast forward to what I believe is important. So this scene's very important. So what you're being shown here is again that lit on the left side third quarter moon, which you'll see an absolute ton if you watch the movie Leave the World Behind. I kind of wish I had that downloaded so I could go over that one. Maybe that's actually something I'll do later in the week, because Leave the World Behind is very, very symbolic. But what you're being shown here is your third quarter moon. Then you have the white rabbit here. That's your New Year's on the Roman calendar reference, which happened on March 16th, I believe. She's wearing blue. That's your blue moon reference. Over here, these guys in red. That's your blood moon reference. So, in all, what you're being shown here is the equilux, which could also be represented. You got the equilux. You have I think this is an almond tree. I could be wrong. I believe that's also something that represents the time period we're in. If you know more about that, you just leave a comment. I'd be very interested. But yeah, so you have your New Year's on the Roman calendar, blood moon, blue moon, and then your third quarter moon and equilux. So this could really only be pointing at one time period, which is our third quarter moon approaching on the 22nd. So that one's very, very interesting. And then she does kind of like she blows a kiss, and there's your purple, which, as we looked at in the previous video, purple represents the combination of the blue blood moon. So they're showing you purple and an hourglass to show you that at that time, your time is definitely running out. If you were at that blue blood moon, which we are. So then again here, you have the red lipstick. You could say that's like a blood moon aspect, but there's a clear reference later. So she's wearing blue, and what they're showing you here is a full moon. So this is your blue moon. Then it changes into this kind of pearl, which is red. She's wearing red, her hair's red, so there's your blood moon aspect of the moon. So they show you those two there. And I'm just going to I'm just going to rip through this to see if there's anything of importance in regards to our third quarter moon, as I don't think there is anything else left. Yeah, there's your black moon, your blue moon approaching midnight, which is the equilux, or a specific date on the rabbinical calendar, but yeah, that's pretty well everything I want to cover in this video. This might be shorter than I expected it to be, but yeah, this is just a recap of the kind of third quarter moon symbolism. This is by no means exhaustive of that symbolism. There is an absolute ton. A person that's very good at compiling the symbolism is Raw Repent, so check out his channel. His is filled to the brim with symbolism involving the moon we're looking at, and then the equilux, as well as the third quarter moon. So yeah, his channel's fantastic. But yeah, so this is essentially just wanted to show you guys that, like, even though some certain events that you thought would happen or transpire over the weekend, even though they didn't, I think we're like very, very close. I fully believe this is the last leg of the journey per se. And I think during the week you're going to really see that 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 3, and then Micah 4:9, which is there no king in thee, has the counselor perished? So the counselor, I'm sure you guys know who that is, and then the king, so the prime minister of Israel, as this verse is in reference to Israel. So I think during this week you could see him step down, and then I think we could definitely see the kind of peace approaching, which I believe will be actually just like a real covenant. As I mentioned in my last video, I believe it's a very specific point in time, not just a notion of peace. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very exciting week, and I think it's really going to tell the tale. And I still believe we're right there. I'm not particularly worried at all. But yeah, I think this probably won't be my last video, that's for sure. I think I'm just going to keep kind of rehashing my older videos just to show you guys that we're still right there, and there's really not that much time left. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please like leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of certain aspects. If you don't want to see anything like this, where I kind of like talk about like kind of like enemy psychology, if you don't want to see that, please just let me know. I've included that in a couple of my last two videos, and I think it might have rubbed some people the wrong way. But yeah, and yeah, it's gonna be a very exciting week. Thank you guys for watching, and please like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. We're almost there. God bless.